Hey everyone, we're moving on today with Lesson 1, Day 2 of Rational Numbers. Again, our objective is to write fractions as decimals and decimals as fractions. Materials needed: notebook, pen or pencil, your digital math book. Things to watch for in the videos: the try this, the stop, and the write this down. And as far as the digital math book, like I said, you can get everything you need just from the materials I put out in the Canvas course. The digital math book is just there as an extra resource, and we'll be talking more about that later this week. So moving on with example 3, we've got a situation here where in a recent season, St. Louis Cardinals first baseman Albert Pujols had 175 hits in 530 at-bats. To the nearest thousandth, find his batting average. So to find his batting average, we're going to divide the number of hits 175 by the number of at-bats 530. So we can set this problem up as a ratio. So we've got 175 over 530, or 175 divided by 530. And because this is a pretty challenging problem to work out in long division, we're going to use a calculator today. So I just simply take 175 divided by 530, and I get 0.3301886, and the decimal goes on. Now, I'm being asked to round to the nearest thousandth. So what I need to do is look at the digit to the right of the thousands place. So I've got tens, hundreds, thousands, and the place to the right is a 1. So that tells me that I'm going to leave 0 as it is, and I can basically truncate this decimal to 0.330. So that's my final answer, rounded to the nearest thousandth. So let's move on and try problem E. And I'd like you to attempt this as a try this. So after you copy the problem down, pause the video, try to work it through on your own, and then once you're finished, play the video and see how you did. So I can set this problem up as a ratio and have 6 over 36. And to work out my division problem, I've got 6 divided by 36. Obviously, I'm going to need at least a couple of zeros. And then I start my division process. So 36 can't go into 6, but 36 goes into 60 once. 1 times 36 is 36. When I subtract, I get 24, bring down a 0. 36 goes into 240 6 times. 6 times 36 is 216. Once again, I subtract. I get 24, bring down a 0. 36 goes into 240 6 times. 6 times 36 is 216. Subtract again, and I can see the pattern developing here. But I have to go one more decimal place in order to be able to round to the nearest thousandth. So one last time, 36 goes into 240 6 times. I've got 0.1666. I look at my decimal places, and I've got tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So I'm going to be looking at this last 6 right here. This is larger than 5, so that is going to make the 6 right ahead of it turn into a 7. So my final answer will be 0.167. We just have a couple more examples to look at here before we move on to the homework. So example 4, write 0.45 as a fraction. So 0.45 can also be stated as 45 hundredths, or 45 over 100. And in order to simplify, if I've got 45 over 100, I know that I can divide both of these values by 5. And 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my simplified answer would be 9 over 20. Problem number 5 is a bit more complex. It involves repeating decimals and the rule of nines. So we're being asked to write 0.5 repeating as a fraction in simplest form. And one way we can do that is to assign a variable to the value 0.5 repeating. So we're going to let n equal 0.555. We're going to write that repeating decimal out about 3 times. Then perform operations on n to determine its fractional value. So we've got n equals 0.555. We're going to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 10. So we have 10 times n equals 10 times 0.555. When we multiply, we get 10n, and 10 times 0.555 is 5.555. And then we're going to subtract n. We subtract n from this side, and we're subtracting 0.555 because that's what we said n was equal to at the beginning. We get 9n equals 5. And then to further simplify, we take 9n and 5 and divide both sides by 9. So we get n equals 5/9. So the decimal 0.5 repeating can be written as 5/9. And when I go through a few more examples, you'll see how this rule of 9 kind of plays out. You'll see a pattern develop. The same is true for a value like 2.18 repeating in number 6 here. The problem reads, write 2.18 repeating as a mixed number in simplest form. So once again, we're going to assign a variable to the value 2.18 repeating, and we're going to let n equal 2.181818. Then perform operations on n to determine its fractional value. So we've got n equals 2.181818. Now we're going to multiply both sides of the equal sign times 100. 100 times n equals 100 times 2.181818 repeating. When we do multiply, we get 100n equals 218.181818. Now we subtract n to get rid of the n, and that is equal to 2.181818. So we subtract that as well. 100n minus n equals 99n. 218.181818 minus 2.181818 equals 216. We're just taking off that repeating part of the decimal. And now to simplify, we divide both sides by 99. And we end up with n equals 216/99, or 2 2/11. So the decimal 2.18 repeating can be written as 2 2/11. Now, because these two practice problems are different and a little challenging, we'll work through these together. We're being asked to write each decimal as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. So for f, we've got negative 0.14, and we're being asked to write that as a fraction. So we take a look at what decimal places do we have. So we've got 0.1, which is tenths, and 4, which is hundredths. So we can rewrite this as negative 14/100, and then just simplify by dividing each value by 2, since 2 will go into each of those. And we're left with negative 7/50 for our final answer. Now for G, we've got 0.27 repeating, and we said to start things out, we're going to let n equal 0.272727. Because we have 2 decimal places in the repeating decimal, we're going to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 100. So now we continue with our problem. We've got 100n equals 100 times 0.272727. We're just going to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. So we get 27.272727. Now we're going to subtract our original n equals 0.272727, and when we subtract 100n minus n equals 99n, And when I subtract 27.272727 minus 0.272727, basically these two repeating decimal portions cancel each other out, and I'm left with 27. Now, to further simplify and get n alone, I have to divide both sides by 99. Now I have n equals 27 over 99. I can divide both of these values by 9. And when I do, I'm left with 27 divided by 9 is 3. 99 divided by 9 is 11. And my final answer is 3/11. So for your assignment today, you'll be working on page 11, number 7 through 10. So the bottom half of the sheet that you were working on yesterday. And again, the assignment checklist. I'd like you to complete your assignment in Canvas or on paper. Check your answers and write your score as a fraction in the upper right-hand corner of your assignment. So once again, if you have 5 problems that you're working on and you get 4 correct, you would just write that as 4 over 5. And finally, turn your work into Canvas.